Thinking. Okay, we're good to go.
Hello, everyone. It is Thursday, June 12th, 7 p.m. Glad to see everybody. I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. Looks like we have a quorum. Yes. Get started. First thing on the agenda is approval of the minutes. Does everyone have a copy in their packet? I'll look over those. And let us know if you have any questions, comments, amendments, all the above.
Motion to approve the February 24th minutes.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Okay. The minutes are approved. Wonderful. And we can move to our citizen comment period. Those wishing to speak are encouraged to sign in. Speakers may be provided with an opportunity to speak during this time. Welcome.
Hi,
Hello.
sure, I go first. Yep. Hi, I'm JD Sanford. Thanks for hearing from us. I wrote out my comments not to be formal, but just try to keep it in a timely fashion. I live here in Kyle and Plum Creek, and I'm also the chair of the Kyle Buda Area Democrats political club. And I'm here to speak about the policy change from earlier this year that the library board recommended to the city council that restricted political groups from using the library rooms, this room and the one here next to it. Our club has used the Kyle Library for meetings for years, and to my knowledge, we've never had any complaints about our use or the condition that we left the room in. And our meetings, while political, are open to the public and anyone can attend. Even if they're not a member of the club, they're free to come. Now, due to the policy change, though, we're not permitted to use the Kyle Library rooms for any of our meetings. And the library is a great place for meetings. It's air conditioned, which is really important in the summer out here. Everyone knows where it is. There's a big whiteboard we can write things on. There's chairs available. And if some people brought their kids, they can go and check a book out at the end of the meeting. And our meetings at the Kyle Library are really important to the public. They inform the public on issues and candidates that are running locally. We regularly have council members, county commissioners, judges, state reps, and even Congress people attend our meetings. And one of my favorite meetings that we had here at the Kyle Library was January before last. We called it Judicial January. We got all the judicial candidates running for office in for a great big forum. It was the next room over. We packed the room. We were totally at capacity. And, you know, this is kind of a bottom of the ballot race that people generally don't know much about or only very briefly research. Here we had a room, crowd of people for 2 hours listening to every single one of the candidates, from justice of the peace, the district judge to, district clerk, learning about what their offices did and, why the candidates thought they were the best for it. Other political groups use these rooms too. The Hays County Tejano Democrats regularly meets in here. Every year, the Texas State Teachers Association, TSTA, they host a nonpartisan candidate forum here in these rooms for candidates who are running for the Hays CISD Board of Trustees. I know they've been doing that for years, and those are always a big popular event. And then also last summer, Kyle council members Miguel Zuniga and Michael Tobias, they held a public forum in these rooms to address questions from the public about the way the Kyle City Council operated. I've been told by city staff that all of these uses, including the Kyle Butte Area Democrats and the other group, would no longer be allowed under the current rules that restrict political use of these rooms. So what I would ask is that the library board reconsider this policy and allow political meetings in the library, so long as they're open to the public and so long as that they're not fundraisers, but instead are just informational community meetings. I think that aligns with the goals, the rules as they were set out. Failing that, I'd like to ask if possibly at the next meeting of the library board, we could have a workshop where you can invite people like myself, Mr. Tenorio, and others who are interested in using the rooms for political purposes. That way we can have open discussion and try to come to a way of using the rooms that aligns with your goal for it and, and our use. I understand it's a, publicly posted meeting, so you can't discuss things that aren't on the agenda. So in the future, a workshop could accomplish that. But brought a business card because I didn't write down my contact information on here, on a speaker form, but feel free to email me or call me to reach out to go over anything. I think these rooms are great community spaces, and I think that our local political groups, they're not divisive and they're not hateful or combative. Really, what these groups are about is community engagement and deliberation, making sure everybody's informed about the issues. And I think our groups are an important part of the community. But thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any more comments? Yes. Can you state your name, please?
Sure. Hi, members of the Cal Library Board. I'm Willie Tenorio Jr. I'm the chair of the Hays County Tejano Democrats. Our organization has been using the library meeting rooms for a long time. We have held general membership meetings and sponsored some candidate forums so members of the community could learn about candidates on their ballot. But in March of this year, we were turned down because of a new library board policy not allowing political events. So I'm here to ask you all to consider changing the policy so that we once again can hold some of our organization's meetings here. Hays County Tejano Democrats has held meetings here multiple times over a period of several years. In addition, other political organizations have held meetings here, including Kyle Butte Area Democrats and also the group Young Democrats. The Hays Educators Association has held numerous forums for school board candidates. And back in 2014, here in this very room, 11 years ago, when I was running for re-election to the school board, I was one of the 7 candidates that participated in a forum that year. So it's been going on for a long time here at the library. I looked up guidelines for using library spaces in the Texas Library Association page, and they have a page on intellectual freedom. And they state when the public library invites the community to use spaces within the library, a meeting room, bulletin board, exhibit case, the library takes on the responsibility to uphold First Amendment rights of expression. And Article 6 maintains that meeting facilities and exhibit space should be made available to members of the community on an equitable basis, regardless of the beliefs or affiliations of individuals or groups requesting their use. And that a library may control time, place, and manner of use, provided these statements do not discriminate against users based on ideology or speech. In addition, I looked up the policies of other neighboring libraries in the area, and this is what I found. The city of Butte says that if it's a commercial, private, rental, political, or faith-based forum, then all the advertising has to say, this event is not sponsored, affiliated, or endorsed by the city of Butte, and that's required to be on the advertising. And I'd suggest that you might want to consider using that language on your materials if y'all are concerned that use of your facilities implies endorsement, because I wasn't sure if that was one of the reasons for the policy change. The San Marcos Library says that they allow limited nonprofit and educational use. Last year, I attended a candidate forum hosted by the Hays County Democratic Party at the San Marcos Library. So that means they interpret their policy to allow these types of events. At the Dripping Springs Library says that they allow community rooms for informational, educational, or cultural meetings and programs. And they also have a disclaimer on there that says use of the library meeting rooms does not imply endorsement by the library staff or trustees of the viewpoints represented. So maybe that might be something to consider changing your policy if you're concerned about that. The Wimberley Library does have some restrictions on political usage. I found they state that the meeting rooms may not be used for political rallies or campaigns for specific partisan political issues or candidates. I think that's a fair restriction because they're saying they don't allow political rallies. That's understandable for sure, but they expressly do not allow something for a specific issue or specific candidate. So you can hold a Jane Smith for county commissioner meeting here, for example, but you could hold a more general meeting there at the Wimberley Library. So I think that's a good, happy medium there. And also, I want to conclude by saying thank you for serving on this board. I know it's a lot of work and y'all are uncompensated for what you do. I served for 12 years on the local school board, and I know these endeavors are really hard. And I know that you're doing it because you want to help your community. So I want to thank you for your service.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments.
One more. Okay. Hi, I'm Susan Reyna, and I'm here on behalf of two different boards that I'm on. First, I'm on the board of the Friends of the Library, and I just wanted to give a few little updates. Our thrift store is doing really well. We're excited that in May, we exceeded the sales that we had in I think the last 4 years in May. Which is really good because locally city sales tax is down. So a lot of retail is not doing well right now. So we're very glad that we're able to keep that momentum and be useful to the community. I also wanted to share that we have approved a request that your director has put in for 2 different types of study pods for the library. And she can share more information about that. But so we'll be ordering those. And we've been renewing and updating all of our policies and things just like the library has. And so I'll have more about that in the future probably, but we're excited to bring our organization more into the modern times. The other organization I wanted to speak about is I'm also on the boards of the Kiwanis of Kyle Buda. And we have literacy programs that we do for the community, mainly for children, but we give away books for all ages at the Kyle Market Days. And there is an event this Saturday in 2 days. And so I wanted you all to come out there, to invite you all to come out there. Everybody gets a free book. This year, we've also expanded it. We added story times a few years ago. And some of you have read stories for us, and you're always welcome to come read stories. But also we've added now our own summer reading program in addition to the one at the library. And we have a handout for the public about all the different summer reading programs their children can do. And we've also added a book club so that because we get books in bulk. So they can pick up a book this month and come back and read it. Say they pick this certain book, they can, discuss it. They can come back at 10 a.m. in July at that market day and discuss that book. Or if they pick that book, they can come back at 11 a.m. and they have a little bookmark that tells them when to come back based on what book they chose. So we're expanding all of our different offerings. I just want to let you all know. Thank you.
Thank you. Don't have any more comments. We can close citizen comment period. Thank you all for your comments.
Thank you.
And we can move on to staff reports. Board report, the director report.
All right, this is staff. Good evening. We're going to broadcast this up on our new big screen TVs, our smart TVs. So our mobile library update, the Friends of the Kyle Public Library mobile library launched with our ribbon cutting. Several of you were there that day. It was perfect weather, perfect opportunity, just all around wonderful. It arrived on site, we did our ribbon cutting, and then we launched out into the community with our outreach services. I'm going to ask Jessica to help me to think of a couple places, but we'll be at Market Day tomorrow or Saturday. We have been to an apartment complex, 2 community gatherings, if you will, in subdivisions, a story time. We are scheduled for the VFW. We're working on a Saturday for the thrift store. Lots of diverse opportunities out in the community. We're sort of baby stepping into those. But and we delivered bookmarks to all the schools right before school was out in the mobile library too. So if you're out and about and you see it, be sure to wave big. So we're so happy about this, and we are so grateful to the Friends Thrift Store for sponsoring this. The master plan update, we took our tours, and back in March, we looked at Round Rock Public Library and Cedar Park Public Library. Those that attended were Maureen Arndt with 720 Design, Councilmember Harris, Amber Schmeitz, myself, and Jessica. And we just spent a day going through each of those facilities with the director, not just looking physically at what there was there to see, but also meeting with staff. What would they do different? Both of those facilities are rather new. Cedar Park was just finished this December, so they had a lot of best practice ideas. What did they miss? What did they wish they would have thought of? And what are they so glad they did think of? We received the first draft of our benchmark report also, and that is the in-depth study of what our comparison cities are doing, the staffing, their budgets, their collection, looking at that overall and how do we compare with that. That will be a public document soon, but it's still in that draft form right now. We had a town hall open house, a little over 50 people attended that and voted on sort of what they thought next library or this library could become and have included. We missed an opportunity to meet with the library board. We did not have a quorum that evening. We're going to work with Maureen to do a makeup session of some sort. She's in Austin quite a bit and thought she could try to swing down for something in the future. We're not too late to continue to add to that information. In fact, I will be at the next market days with the boards as well, collecting public input. We had a staff focus group while she was here as well, and that was incredibly insightful for the people that are here working, their thoughts on what we have, what we could do in the future, and what are big dreams. We will launch an online public survey probably mid-July and run until school starts. We want to capture that school groups and the teachers as well when they get back. So we will postpone out of June into July. That was just decided about a week ago. Then we'll do our executive interviews after the survey. 720 Design, they want to capture the information from the tours, public input, survey, the focus groups with staff and you all, and then they meet with the council members and Mr. Langley, the 2 assistant city managers as well, and give them examples of what came out of all of this information. Updates and additions. So we have added Alexander Nandon from a part-time clerk. That was a temp position that the city manager granted us, and we had a vacancy, and she moved flawlessly into that as a full-time circ assistant. We posted for a circulation manager, and we just felt there wasn't an acceptable candidate pool. We're going to go back to the drawing board, see how we can post that, and maybe post it broader with TLA, ALA, and see what we capture that way. And then we posted for an adult teen librarian, and I'm happy to say that they start on the 23rd of this month, so another week, and we'll have a teen and adult librarian, our first ever. Teen and adult, right?
Yeah.
We have a specialist. We have
Yes.
specialists.
Yes, I had to think about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this one is teen and adult.
Adult.
Right.
And she will be coming to us from San Antonio. She has a lot of education experience. She was an assistant library director for years, so she comes to us with a lot of experience. We're excited about that. Facility wise, we purchased the love seats, maker space, book trucks. You didn't get to see those. They're beautiful blue, and the wheels on the bus turn beautifully. They turn beautifully.
Yeah.
Something about the casters that work well can really make your day. We were excited about those additions as well. And then the makerspace room was painted, the windows tinted, the concrete floor. We took a little tour earlier before you arrived, Spencer, but you'll maybe have to pop back there and take a look at them. The next step includes the training on the sewing machines, the die cuts, and we did have a 1-hour workshop on the 3D printer last week. So excited to launch the makerspace. It is almost ready. And then we launched the study room as well. It's being checked out at least once a day, and we're happy with that. We did ask the Friends to sponsor 2 study pods. We saw the study pods at Cedar Park in the staff area.
Oh, yeah.
They could go in there to have a quiet moment, take a phone call. And then Pflugerville has two, I believe, two as well that are very popular. And so ours will be out in the public area. There's one for one or two people, and then the other is for up to four people. And you might see them at airports where you swipe your credit card and go in for quiet and study space. It's exactly what those are. They're very quiet, they're comfortable, and Friends just this week approved the request. And they have a new documentation form, as Susan mentioned, where we request them through a form that explains what we want, why we want it, justification, other pricing. And so we were very fortunate. They said yes, and they, I believe, were ordered yesterday in a deposit put down. So we hope to have them before school launches, so we have them for school time. Cloud Library, we signed the contract, the migration happened, training happened, and we will launch Monday. So we did a little teaser last week of a photo on social of a cloud. We don't know if
We're
people got
clever.
it, but we are clever like that. And Friday, I'm hanging clouds from the ceiling over we just want people to like ask, what is this about? And kind of, so Cloud Library will be very similar to Libby, 5 items at a time, 14-day checkout, 5 items on hold, 3-day hold period. Once it's available, then you need to check it out. The difference though is Cloud Library, as of a couple days ago, 653,000 items available to our patrons. Libby's around 32,000. So an incredibly robust platform. Excited about that.
Yeah.
And that's just with your library card and your password. So also our budget was submitted. It included staffing and technology replacement. A little bit about staffing is we are behind on our master's degree holding staff. So we do need to make sure that we're up to state standards and accreditation with our MLS holding librarian staff. And then technology replacement is to replace every computer, both public and staffing. They were last purchased in 2020, so 2021,
Yes.
20 and 21 fiscal. So we are going to look at replace all of them. We will do it slowly, likely, where we'll replace those that needed the most, hold back a little, and then as they break, replace the remainder. But our technology is behind. I can't remember the number off the top of my head, but it was tens of thousands of people utilize our computers throughout one fiscal year. So they are heavily used.
For accreditation standards, is there a set time period lifespan?
No, but we do have to have them. And so with their aging, and they were already breaking this year, we took several out of commission and then didn't have that backup plan. The city's also working on a replacement plan where we put funds aside every year. Then when it's ready, and we'll be lucky, we'll have several years of our technology lasting, but then we already have the funds behind the scenes to be able to apply to those purchases. So just need to be working, which doesn't take much when you're out of the technology will surpass the machine. And then there's that. We all experience that at home, I think, and with our cell phones too sometimes. So good question. The Hayes County grant application was submitted, and that would be the Hayes County librarians. We all collated ours and it was submitted. We asked for $90,000. We have been receiving 35 annually. We are hopeful that we will receive that again. Our collection shifted. All of our juvenile and teens are completed. That's exciting. We added many children's library of things, everything from these little kind of pads that you buckle and tie and zip, to musical instruments, to viewfinders. Do you remember the old school viewfinders? You can check those out. Lots of STEAM, the science, technology, engineering, arts, kids, and they're rarely on the shelf. We're seeing them go out constantly. So that was a really good addition. The hotspots launched and they're being checked out a little bit at a time. And we're going to continue to promote that to hopefully increase that. The hotspots are an awesome opportunity for the community. They're not to be an internet provider. They are for when the internet's out, for travel, for when everyone else is already on the computer and you need to, or on the internet at home and you need to get on for something, you have that extra bandwidth. So they are a 2-week checkout. You can check out one time per month. It's household, and then they do need to be returned and they could be shut off if they're not returned on time because the city is paying for the data on those.
How many do we have?
15. Policies passed, thank you for those. I've been doing slow integration, but we're just about there. The last that we did was resident and non-resident memberships, the staff. Jessica's been doing small huddles, making sure everyone understands just a lot of the changes. A lot of scripting and explaining about some of them as well. Something just how to approach someone who is sleeping. Don't startle them, but then explain it's policy to sleep, why you have to keep your shoes on, just things like that. Food in the library. We did the Friends, we gave the vending machine back to the thrift store. They are so excited about that vending machine, but we were having problems with the food making its way into the library, which is against policy. And also, so we have scorpion visitor too. But the Friends, I was up there just earlier this week and they're so excited about that vending machine. So we're really happy they were happy to have it back. So then Summer of Color launched. We've had, I didn't get an update today, but I think we're getting close to about 700 signups for summer reading that we know of. The programs are going very well, smooth. There's a lot of come as a family, make the craft. There's a topic each week that's our color, and then they head on out with all their beautiful creations. The STEAM workshop is going well. Our story times are going well. We've had thousands of attendees already in just the first 2.5 weeks. So it's going very well. And we have these amazing shirts. So everyone knows. We are very colorful. And they actually have worked out really well, twofold. That the public sees our shirts and they know we work here. So we might have the answer of where's the book, where's the Band-Aid, help me find my child. We are walking signs that we work here and we want to help. The other is I found that it has created camaraderie amongst the staff.
Yeah.
That just the right people wear the pink shirt. They're like, oh, sorry, you didn't get the memo that we were wearing pink today. Or the cool kids are all wearing green today. It's just really fun that they are enjoying these shirts. And we provided four for every staff member for the entire summer. And then we have other staff shirts that we wear on Fridays. So, they've been fun. I think that's it for now. I think that's it. Any questions? Wait a minute, should I do the manual? Yeah, that's it.
2 comments.
Yes.
So starting out back at the master plan, knowing that a few weeks ago, city council released their survey results of services provided by the city and how the city responded to that, library ranked number 1. And so we'd want to encourage that view of not what should we change, but how should we expand?
Right. And those are a lot of what the survey questions are. What would you like to see the library do? And there's even more outdoor reading space and opportunities outside and in the outreach, the programming, the space. It's all of those things. So it's not necessarily talking about a whole new building. It's talking about how do we improve and continue to improve upon the services we offer the community. And that was very much those boards as well, is that what would you like the library to have someday? Can we make that happen here? Can we make that happen in a branch, a satellite? a new facility, where do we go with this information? And thank you for that, bringing that up. Yes, we did rank number one, and it was part of my budget presentation. So here's how awesome the library is, how well people receive us. It's a really lovely compliment.
And the second comment is on the last slide here, talking about the policy being passed by council and currently being implemented. Obviously, we've heard feedback tonight from the public. We also would love to hear from staff as all of the policy being implemented, where are the friction points that we're hearing from the community? That way, if we need to, as a board, course correct somewhere, we get that feedback based off of wherever the friction exists. That might be helpful to check in and see if we gauged and weighed the equities properly. Do we need to course correct somewhere? I would find that helpful.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you want to touch on I think the political one is what was brought up tonight, that.
That's probably the main one. With the other policies, as far as your appropriate use policy, we really haven't had much friction. Just approaching people like the sleeping, just, hey, we're just making sure you're okay.
The non-resident.
We did have a little bit of friction with the non-resident and resident at first, but once we're able to explain to the customers that we are supported by the city taxes, there's really not too much back and forth with that. But it was an adjustment. So it was an adjustment.
And an educational opportunity, because people many times think we're funded through state grants, and we're not.
Heard that.
We are not state funded. We are funded by city resident tax, and we receive that county grant. And so outside of the county, then, and a lot of times it was just an educational, oh, okay.
Yes.
So.
That misinformation, we're not quite sure how that one came about, but I'm trying to think, circulation policies, there's never too much friction. It is just informing people usually, and then once we inform them, it's pretty much just, smooth sailing from there. The meeting room is one that can cause friction, not just with politics, but religious, like wanting to do religious services here too. So that is probably the one thing that there is the most friction with.
And I think we have just had the two situations.
Yeah,
Well, one religious group and then JV.
politics, and then wanting to use it for commercial purposes. We
The
do,
business or birthday party, and so we're fine.
so it's very tricky to navigate, make sure it's falling within policy and going back and forth between me, Leslie. Sometimes we will consult the city attorney to make sure we're in line with everything. But the meeting room policy will probably be the one that gives us the most.
And
Friction.
And that is the one that we looped the city attorney on, and they're very comfortable with where it's at. And then when Jessica replies, she gives them other options and alternate meeting space within the city.
I don't just say no.
Right.
I
We give
do-
them other
I
opportunities.
do try to provide solutions.
And what are the other meeting spaces?
Parks and Recs manages rooms, but you do have to pay. There is a fee attached for the rooms that they manage. So I'm not sure what the fees are, but they manage the one room in City Hall. What is it called?
The
Well,
Falcon,
yes,
the Falcon
they
room,
manage that
and
room.
now the new Republic building. And soon Daisy Lane will go on as well after the new year. So they manage other facilities as well, and I'm not sure about their fee schedule, and they are currently creating their room policy as well. We just got that call 2 days ago that they are creating their policy with their board as well.
So Jessica, you mentioned trickiness with the policy of the rooms. Is the tricky part the fact that the procedure policy is not very clear? Or is it more the situations that arise from it and how to navigate through? I didn't say yes or no, especially the no.
It's how to navigate it, and it's trying to also make sure it's falling within policy. You know, we never like to tell people no, and so before I tell people no, I have to make sure, okay, this really isn't falling within policy. And then trying to explain it, because I won't just say no, I'll say like, and this is why it's a no, but here are some other options. But I think just navigating the situation.
How has the balances on accounts integration? Has that been done? Any questions about it?
So the accounts balances,
Housing those changes?
sometimes we'll get some feedback, and I think it has to do with late fees that have stayed on accounts. We'll get feedback about that.
There's been some grace given,
But
but
we do
haven't
provide
explained it.
grace, and then we try to work with customers. Especially if they're like, hey, I was unaware I was getting charged for this that we checked out 3 years ago. And so we try to meet them in the middle and try to explain that those fees, when they checked those books out, we were not fined forgiveness, and they are still attached to the account because they do still owe the city those funds, but we can try to provide some grace and take off half. So we do try to work with people on it.
I don't think there's been any.
But there hasn't been any that, yes, there hasn't been any that have caused a lot of conflict. Once you're able, like, once we're able to talk with people and work with people, it's pretty smooth after that.
What about, have you received positive feedback? About the policy?
Well, we received positive feedbacks about, not having any fun.
Right.
Yes. Yes, because people will see that they owe, like, let's say $23 on their account. And then when we go to investigate, we're like, well, it's because you still have this book checked out. So if you just brought the book back, because it's been checked out for so long and it's so severely overdue, it's now marked as missing in the system. If you just brought it back, we check it in, you wouldn't owe us any more fees. And so we have received positive feedback for that, because it can be alarming when you're like, why do I owe y'all $23? It's like, if you bring the book back, you're getting charged because it's now marked as missing, because it's that overdue.
Yeah. A question about the survey. So a few questions. How does it go out? Is there multiple ways that you're doing it? And, is there a way we can help get the word out?
Okay, so it will be a QR code they can scan, a URL. There will be tablets, computers in the library where it's already prompted up. And then there will be actual printed ones in the library as well. So if they don't want to get on the computer, they want to complete it, then they will be kept confidential, and someone on staff will enter them as well. And they are in Spanish and English in all those formats as well. Then they're compiled, and then we'll get the results of those. So we are going to promote on social, the website, signage inside the library. We will take an ad out in the Haze Free Press. We looked at sending each Kyle resident a postcard.
Yeah.
We decided that for the cost, around $10,000, we didn't know that we would get the feedback and the results for the money. So there's a lot of things I could buy for the library for that kind of funding. So we're looking at probably a 6-week window, and in that time, we can capture the programs here, other city events, market days, be out and about in the community promoting it, the newspaper, and then having it physically in here, a piece of paper they can complete, and the tablets. We'll put it out on bookmarks that we will take to the schools and talk it up to the schools as soon as week 1 of school is in session will be there as well. And then the kayak students, are you familiar with the kayak group? They are amazing. They are ready and willing to announce it each morning over the announcements at the school. So, and they're ready to tell their 10 friends who tell 10 friends and so on. So we're excited to utilize those teams and their voices as well. So, and then the mobile library, when it goes out into the community. So we're hoping to try to get a wide scope, if we can, of results. So
And for the mailers, I'm not second guessing the decision. I don't think that's the wrong choice to make. My only thought there is a lot of the methods that you described, I think will pick up a lot of the current users of the library and making sure we have ways to contact and collect the feedback of those that don't use the library to find out what we're not serving for
Right.
them. And I recognize I'm throwing a problem on your plate with no answer, but that's where my first thought goes to.
right. And I think that might be the school will help us in that way, but also there are those, we'll utilize the senior group and CAS, visit them. So it's just a matter of us trying to get out and about, and then also look at the results when they come back and say, is there a hole in this? Is there a gap? And how do we figure that out as well? The survey asks where you live, and it's not just an east-west, it's a northeast, a southwest. We're looking at these quadrants. We ask age and family structure. Do you have children? Do you already come to the library? If you do not, why? And the list of why is pretty lengthy. It's not convenient. I don't have transportation. I don't have a need. I go to another library, and which one? So it's a pretty good 8-minute survey. So we didn't get too, sometimes you start a survey and you're just not sure, but I think we hit and this is a professional team, the Ivy group that created it. And Amber and I tried to mold it to this community and trying to get to where we need to see the gaps. I think the survey is less about, are you happy with us? And more about, what else can we do? What are we already doing? But then what else do we need to be doing?
And on that survey, the feedback I heard from the Parks and Rec Department was that one was too long. And so if that's a gauge, that might be helpful.
And that's where we were at 8 minutes.
It'll be in this City of Kyle email.
Yes, we are going to work closely with the communications department to make sure we get it everywhere that we can. And we're relying on all of you to spread it. We'll try to get it out to the HOA groups, everything that we can to help receive feedback. That's what that's about, is the community feedback. We are delaying slightly on it because of so many surveys going out. There feels like a little survey fatigue happening. And even with our 8 minutes, we want to let it rest for a minute. And that's why we moved our bar a little bit on our timing. And I really wanted to capture the school, the teachers, the administration, the students, their families.
We're happy to take blurbs that we can post on our social.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We'd love that. And just feel free also to copy and just share from libraries but yeah, if you want to take a selfie of yourself, take this.
Oh, I meant just like,
Okay.
I've done a-
I think a selfie of yourself taking this. Enjoy.
It would look very interesting to see me holding my.
Great questions. Thank
I
you.
have a question about the library and how you were choosing which events to go to, and are you getting requests from the public, like, please come on, like, and how are we saying yes to that, no to that? What does that criteria look like?
We're not really saying no to any public events as long as we can make it and we're not double booked. We are not doing birthday parties or things like that, but yeah, community events, HOA events, apartment complexes, businesses that will draw a crowd. We want to be cognizant too of safety of the vehicle and our staff, but will it draw people who have a card or who we can get a card in their hands? And so this Saturday at Market Days, we have 2 staff that will be there because we feel like to do library cards and to present the mobile library safely, we need 2 people there to efficiently create the library cards. So you need to move.
I know.
It's like it's really there we go. My student, she helped us trigger it. It's over there, the sensor. So it's kind of the best yes, but I don't know that we've told anyone no yet. But it isn't something that an entire daycare can get on, but we can take it
Yeah.
to a school and they can see it and we can present a story time. If the weather permits, we have that awning that comes out, we can have a presentation under that, but it isn't something 100 children can get on and go out the back end. It's just not built that way. It is a Sprinter van, if you will, but I don't know that we've said no to anyone. It's more about just.
If we have,
Put it out there.
it's because of availability.
It is.
So if we've said no, it's because of availability.
I've seen it a lot all over social,
Yeah.
just to let y'all know.
Good,
Everywhere.
good.
And out in the community, so it's
Yeah.
definitely reaching the public
Super.
and, I'm seeing a lot of people engage with it, which is really cool. Definitely happy about that. So, but I have received questions like, who do I talk to?
Right. So you just email us, you just email the library and then we get it to Jesus and we go from there. But again, private homes and that is a no. But social and public gatherings, absolutely, they're open to the public. And there's English and Spanish, all ages. And then there's those free items on there too, so that a child doesn't have a card, they're not going to get a card. We'll make sure they have something before they walk away. So, and tons of swag and fun stuff too.
So. That's a lot of information,
So.
a lot going on.
Mhm.
Anybody have any other comments, questions, topics?
I have a couple of questions. For the cloud library, is it replacing or supplementing Libby?
It's an add-on.
Okay. And I heard Jessica, talk about customers, and I was wondering if that was an intentional and systematic language choice.
That's what we have in the policy is customers.
So all staff are now being trained to use the word customers.
We haven't really forced the topic, I think, because I just look at policies so much. It definitely just comes natural. It's true. Just I'm like, me and that policy, I think for me, I use customers, but I think staff, they'll still use patrons or customers internally. I think they will use them. Change.
And I think there's somebody on staff that says guest. I'm not sure who that is, but I heard.
That sounds like Jesus.
It might be Jesus with a guest.
I was also wondering about the bullet point regarding staffing and increasing the number of staff who have an MLS or an MLIS. And I was wondering if the approach to that would be through education of current staff members or new hiring, or if that has yet to be determined.
It is new hiring, Mr. Langley's very interested in. So our teen and adult librarian does have an MLS, and so that's going to help us with accreditation. Myself and Jessica, and then Michael and Jesus all have the Masters in Library. So we support our staff. We have someone on staff right now that is attending library school, so it's both. It's recruiting those that meet the accreditation, and then development internally as well.
And then the last thing that I wanted to note is not in regards to one of these bullet points, but just like the consistency of meetings. I just feel kind of bad that the citizens didn't have an opportunity to comment for so many months since our last meeting, I think was in February. So I would like to advocate having the meetings, even if there isn't necessarily an agenda item that we have. It may be nice to have the meeting so that if there are citizens, they can comment if they would like to.
Okay, thank you.
And not to beat that topic to death, but I'm still interested in more feedback on how the policy implementation goes. It's still brand new, it's still fresh. I know we're gonna hear more friction. And would love to know when and where course correction is approved.
Ditto.
Second.
All right. Does anyone have anything additional this evening?
I guess I do have a question about moving forward and what might our next discussions look like, or if there's any like homework that needs to be done before we meet again in terms of potentially addressing or thinking through the citizen comments. Would that automatically become an agenda item on our next meeting? I don't know. I'm just raising that as a question.
Well, do you want to, I feel like if we would like to discuss it, we should.
But if we discuss it, what are the outcome options? Because having a discussion is one thing, but if we're just discussing it and we have no ability to make any changes, then what would the purpose of that discussion be?
Yeah.
And do we have the ability of listen? You know, obviously we listen to them, but they requested a workshop, right? So they made a request. So what's the responsibility of the board to listen to that request? Or is there more, to Jessica's point, a discussion on the request to then grant a workshop? What would that look like? I mean, what was the ask? What is our responsibility to respond to that?
And I don't want that conversation to be blind to the needs and the friction that staff experiences, because I know we made a change. There was logic behind it. We had justifications. We're not always infallible, but I want to make sure that we're not omitting that viewpoint that we don't have as non-staff members.
I think we would also need to research how that protocol would move through, since we moved to council and council approved, then how does that work as well?
Is that something that your team could handle, researching the protocol? And then perhaps as an agenda item, we at least have discussion of what is the protocol and possibilities, which would also provide us with time to do our due diligence and research as well.
Sure.
I'm not sure it would get done, honestly, by the July meeting, just because we are in the middle of summer reading and we do have a staff member who is leaving us for another opportunity. And so we will be stepping into the role more at the front desk, but it can be something we can look into. I just don't know if having it done by July's meeting is feasible.
And I think if we're going, end of the day, if we have to make a change in policy, it has to go back to council. And I want to be respectful of their time too. And we've heard one concern over one section of that policy. And I'm not convinced that's the only area of friction that exists here. We'd be lucky if it was, but if there are other areas, we'll make sure we have a full, robust discussion and make sure we iron out those kinks one way or the other. We went too hard one way, went too soft another way, and go to council one time with whatever the corrections are. That way we're not going every single month with some small tweak on policy if that's even necessary. So I want to make sure we have that robust discussion, but I also want to be respectful of the citizen comments too, of if there's an immediate problem, doing this in 2026 is maybe not the appropriate time either. So balancing where that comes in with the reality of you have other things to do day to day.
We'll find out.
Thank you.
Anybody have anything to add?
We are adding to the agenda, just.
I think where they're going to find out what the protocol would be if a discussion happened, if we had any power to do anything outside of like, if, once we have the discussion, could we change anything, bring it to the table? And see what that protocol or that process would look like, and then bring that process next meeting. If they get the information in time for the next meeting. And then if there is something we can do about it, then we could field this discussion from that point.
So at least an update.
Right. So that would be the city secretary, the city attorney. Those are my two. I'm going to consult first.
Could we maybe have as a joint or second agenda item to that, just in general, like discussion of potential policy implementation update issues or something like that, which would kind of like address what Spencer's saying and also provide a space if any of us here or, I want to like go look at like my ALA website. I'm sure you all have already done that, but just, if there's anything else we want to bring up on those topics, if we have that as an additional agenda item or along with that or something.
Meeting rooms are always, I find that pretty much for every library, the meeting rooms are a situation. They're wanted by the community. They're wanted by us. I'm seeing with new staff, we will continue to utilize this space more and more ourselves. This summer, this room's not open. Very often. Is it
I've
often?
had it, I've had to turn down quite a few just
Mhm.
because
We're using it. And
But
then,
I think there's a difference in declining a request for availability
right,
than declining it
Right.
because who you are, what you represent,
Right.
that sort of thing, which is, I think, what exactly the two comments that.
Absolutely.
So two totally.
but it's getting to where we're in here more and more. And then the city facilities are, other departments are utilizing it much more as well. So it's increasing our programs. Other departments are increasing their programs as well. And so it would be interesting, and it's not in the next month, but to do a study of our meeting space and where it's being utilized. I was gonna give you one more thing for the next month, but exactly how much is it being utilized, internal versus external? Stakeholder.
And of course, that feeds into the master plan of, we're not going to be one library community forever. But if we can lay a foundation of policies, procedures, and have that vision for the 10 years out, get that done right the first time.
Right.
Or we have two libraries that we have to course correct for.
So, and something else, to kind of just ponder on when we talk about the meeting room spaces is many libraries will charge, and that's why their policies are different because they do charge a fee. So the Buda Library does charge a fee. I'm pretty sure San Marcos charges a fee. And we don't charge a fee. And then Austin doesn't charge a fee, but most do charge a fee. So that's just something else to keep in mind.
And some of them charge high fees to make it.
And they have other spaces
They have
too
other spaces
for their internal programs.
Of course, that feeds into some of the discussions we've heard about where does the First Amendment end? I know you mentioned city secretary feels comfortable where we're currently at. Sorry, city attorney feels
Right.
comfortable where we're at.
Mhm.
Would love to, when we have that robust discussion, whether it's next month or a future, make sure we understand that perspective too. And like you said, there's a difference between how Parks and Recs charges for their space, therefore they have different accommodations. The city of Buda or San Marcos, understanding how those fit together, so we have a full picture, I think would be helpful.
This is interesting. I read a story in a small town in Massachusetts and their little town library. And the library director liked the idea of it being just for everybody and not singling out any specific group. And it was kind of a safe space. And she had a strong disagreement with a group coming in for a specific purpose. They were doing a Bible study. But the library made a memo of understanding with the group. And I don't know all the details around it, but it kind of took away their policy, which looked a lot like ours, where it was just that space where you wouldn't show preference to a group. And the memorandum of understanding showed preference to the group. It was really interesting. And I remember reading how the community responded, and they were totally baffled that the librarian felt that there was a problem with this. It is fascinating.
And we do have memorandum of understanding with some groups. The Preservation Associates have a memorandum of understanding. What that is they utilize the space. And really the main difference is that we have a designated coordinator, if you will, or someone who's the person that's leading it. Many of them have had background checks. And then we promote them as well on our calendar. And we count them in our accreditation numbers. So like the hobby night, the chess night is a memorandum of understanding. She's had a background check. So it's almost like I don't want to call it an official volunteer, but it's a little different. But that sounds more of a decision about a group versus this will be our leader. This is the person who, and then Susan does a great job of being kind of the communicator for that group. So it's a different working relationship. Fascinating.
I feel like it feels terrible on the heels that we passed those policies, but I cannot help but think through those comments, those two comments, and want to take them and weigh them seriously because of our responsibility as a board, because the topic can rabbit hole into some really complex tangents about MOUs and who gets an MOU, who doesn't, who gets to have an event in here, who doesn't, and how we define that in some really thin slices. Especially as the city has less and less spaces available for people to have those types of conversations and events. And yeah, I think any way that we can bring that together to have a conversation about the implications of a policy that we wrote with maybe not going through each of those kinds of complications and our responsibility to those complications or not. Are like, not our names, but our board is on the policy, and I want to make sure that I feel aligned with it, and I feel like I can go out into the community, and if I were asked a question about it, I would feel like I could explain it. And at this point, I don't feel like I could explain it. Maybe that's a shortcoming of how I understand the policies and how I approve them on my, like, voted for them, but I just want to do the due diligence, even though it's on the back end, to understand and to be able to articulate it to the community.
Absolutely. And I think it's interesting to know as well, to kind of like align with what you're saying about this, is it's like a tricky issue. I feel like, well, how long have we been on the board? I don't know. We've been on the board a really long time, but we've had Susan multiple times come and share about Friends of the Library, but I believe the only other citizen comment we had was about this same issue. And I don't remember how many people were here then, but it was a citizen who had the opposite perspective, who was advocating for not to have.
Mhm.
Last year.
Was it just last year?
Yeah.
Okay, I felt like it was way,
It was.
I thought it was like way back. But I do think that is of interest that those are the only, besides Susan, citizens that we have had attend. Yeah, hot topic.
The work never ends, and progress, not perfection.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else? No? Okay, if not, it is 8:05 and can we get a motion to,
Good job.
we get a second? All those in favor? All right,
That's my favorite.
until next time, everyone, we are adjourned.
Got it. Fix it there.
Maybe,
Who's that? Oh.
yeah, I forgot to name down.